This is Andy Heaton. I am top of the tower. This is the Anfield Rap on Radio City Talk. And this week I've got with me John Gibbons, Jacob Routledge and Ian Salmon. And we are all talking about tomorrow. John?
Yes.
Big day?
It is a big day. I feel like I'm ready. I've warmed up. I've done me stretches, which is 3 away games. So I'm ready to start early and continue until late, and hopefully have a resounding Liverpool victory somewhere in between.
Ian?
Feels like Christmas.
Feels like just starting over, doesn't it?
It's fantastic. It feels exactly just like starting over. It feels like the 3 games away before the pointless international break were a phony war. Tomorrow is the actual start. I've done the deliberate thing because I'm main stand. I haven't been in and seen it yet. I want to see it tomorrow at the game. I didn't want to see it beforehand. I didn't want to see it with training practices. I want to see it live. I want the first time in the main stand to be my first game there.
That lovely green baize.
Yeah. I want to walk up. I want to see the pitch properly. I want to see the cop full as I walk up through the main stand.
I want
entrance.
someone else to Facebook Live this as Ian Salmon gasps at the sight.
Do you know what? I would Facebook Live it myself if I knew how that worked.
I thought you were a man ahead of technology.
I'm so far beyond technology, I haven't even grasped Periscope yet.
Periscope's fine too.
It's been and gone now. Jacob, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I can't wait, mate.
Boiling up nicely.
As Ian said, not half. As Ian said, before the previous games, they've been pretty pointless. Tomorrow, start of the season. Hopefully the start of a successful era on the club as well.
Yeah. Well, talking about Klopp, the manager's been very vocal again today. I mean, we spoke to him last month about the importance of the fans, and you get the sense he's trying to stir the atmosphere so we go tearing into them tomorrow. I mean, he was at pains, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's talked about it quite a lot in the build-up, but I think he seems genuinely excited about it. I think he seems, well, you know, there's 8,000 more of us, which is great, and he's talked about the power of the Kop and things like that. I mean, he likes the sound by Jürgen and things like that, and he's good at it, but I think he's genuine as well in how he comes across, and I think he's thinking, well, you know, I've heard this crowd make a racket. If there's a lot more of them, then brilliant. So, you know, it's just up to us now, really, isn't it? It's our turn to kind of come to the party, really, give them a big welcome. You know, make sure we've oiled our vocal cords and things like that, and we're there tomorrow. And I think the players will respond if the crowd are there and come counting.
It's a sense of like a coiled spring, both the team and the crowd tomorrow, just waiting for that release to just go like the soon.
Yeah, I'm sure they're looking forward to it as well. Bang. You know, they've been all over the place. You know, the last couple of months. You know, not all just around the country, but all around America and things like that. And I'm sure they're looking forward to going back to Anfield. I'm sure they're looking forward to seeing it as well. There's a bit of rumours they're getting changed in a container or something. They're probably not looking forward to that. But you know, generally speaking, I'm sure they're looking forward to seeing the ground and, you know, hearing what You Never Walk Alone sounds like with 8,000 extra voices.
No, they're in adapted shipping containers. It won't actually be finished till November, but maybe they can
use that as an advantage.
Motivational tool, right, lads? The star level of your dressing room.
On this job?
I don't, probably. Right, you want a nice dressing room? Right, how many points between here and there? It's going to determine just how many air dryers Adam Lallana can have.
Okay, we'll aim to get you in before Christmas, but it's up to you, boys.
The amount of goals prior to completion will be the amount of bottles on the shelf.
12 points, not sorts out your facial care.
Just move the container nearer and nearer.
Yeah. Leave the away dressing room as a container forever and ever.
Make him changing Goodison.
Yeah, exactly.
walk across Stanley Park.
Brilliant. No, so going back to the crowd thing, though, I mean, there's almost like an expectation that we're going to go tearing into them.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that can almost work against you, whereas if we don't start like lining, and we've all seen it before, you know, 11 minutes in and we're not like 10-0 up.
Hit a pin drop.
And it goes a little bit flat. We've got to be a little bit careful about that.
Yeah, speaking as a resident of the main stand, 8,000 people in the main stand can be just an excuse to have 8,000 more people moaning, because we do have a reputation for doing that, and sometimes we embrace that reputation. It could be dangerous. I mean, my 15-year-old Evertonian son was saying to me last night, see you lot are meeting the coach again, so you're doing that, so you're getting the flares out, and you're like, no one said anything. And I saw on Twitter, let's meet the coach. I'm like, yeah, let's have some of this again. This is going to be fantastic. Yeah, do it. I'm outside the King Harry at 2:00. I'm happy.
You know what, right? I always have a gauge, an Everton gauge, and as soon as Evertonians start mentioning anything like that, you know you've got their attention.
Yeah, worried
definitely.
Then.
You know you're doing a good thing. You know you're onto something good.
Yeah.
We're having more fun than you are.
Exactly.
But just going back to the game and the atmosphere, is there a sense of, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm 12 out of 10 at the minute with excitement. I can't wait.
Yeah.
But we've kind of forgotten that Leicester aren't actually a bad side.
Yeah.
And there's a game to be won there.
They were champions last season for a reason, weren't they? They proved that against us when we played them twice last season. I think with a few good signings under the belt as well, they've managed to keep the core of the squad together. So, yeah, as you say, I think we could be underestimating them a bit. But hopefully, it doesn't matter how good they play.
I mean, they generally got underestimated all last season, didn't they? Everyone was waiting for them to fall away, and they didn't. I think when they came to Anfield, it was one of their poorer performances of the season from what Leicester fans told us when we did the coach home. And I think people went away thinking, they weren't that good really. But I thought they set up pretty well, and they were difficult to play against, and they've got an obvious game plan, haven't they? And they'll stick with that, and that'll be difficult to play against. They've got firepower up front. They've got it on the bench now as well. They've just spent £30 million on another striker who knows where the goal is, certainly in Europe. And so, you can't be complacent, but I don't think they will be complacent. I think they'll be excited, the players, and I think they'll be wanting to make a bit of a statement. I mean, Leicester have talked about that as well. They've got the first win and they want to make a statement. Well, I think we will as well. They'll be looking forward to it, and I think a good win on Saturday could really help us in terms of people going, but look at Liverpool.
Yeah. And also, I mean, added to that, maybe what we didn't have so much last year. There's the added aspect of there's a competition for places. I feel around the squad now as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So a couple of people playing for the positions there. I mean, we talked about the goalkeeper. It looks like Mingale's going to keep the shirt for another few weeks, whether that's due to fitness or he wants to, give him his head and see how it goes. And then obviously everyone's talking about Daniel Sturridge, and you got Moreno, Milner. I mean, I know we're still missing Emre Can, but it feels like everyone's position potentially is maybe Coutinho under the microscope a little bit.
Well, hopefully with that, that should fester a sort of a wanting to do well, because obviously you want to keep your position in the team. You don't want to. You've got lads there on the bench that are more than willing to take your space in the team. So you're going to go out and you're going to put on a good performance to show the manager that I can do a job. Select me week in, week out, and I'll do well for you.
Yeah, because we're not even talking about like Wijnaldum and Grujic and Ings as yet. We're not talking about them at all. And they won't get in the squad. They're going to be challenging for places as well. I think there's a couple of things to take into account with Leicester. I thought when they came to Anfield, they were one of the least impressive teams I've seen come to Anfield for quite a while. It was a very nothing performance. But in terms of their season, the fact that we stopped them scoring, the fact that we were only one or two teams to beat them was a fantastic turnaround. But when we went to their place, they took us apart down our left-hand flank very, very easily, which I think makes a hell of a call for Milner tomorrow rather than Moreno. I think it wants somebody who's a bit more disciplined, possibly not an out-and-out defender, but knows what they're doing tactically.
Well, you say that, though, is there not an argument that, I mean, they've lost that Kante, I think, is a huge loss for them, and I was amazed that he went for the somebody went for. I thought he'd go for far more.
It was a release clause, that.
Was it? Oh, well, there you go. John doing his own work again for me. Cheers, mate.
We talk to Leicester fans and things like that.
Well, but then, I mean, you say Milner, I'd say, well, maybe if they're looking a bit more vulnerable, and we're only 3 games in, so there's no real pattern developed. Maybe the thought is, well, try and pin them back. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Klopp will pick the team that he wants to pick. I don't think he'll be necessarily looking at Leicester. I don't think he hasn't seemed to be at that stage all season, really. He's gone, he went very attacking in terms of what he picked at Arsenal and Tottenham, and I expect a very similar lineup. I think there's selection dilemmas in terms of us and what we do, but I think Klopp's probably quite straight on what he wants the team to do at the moment. At least that's not to say it won't change throughout the season as form changes and his ideals maybe change, or what he kind of wants to get from certain games. But I think at the moment he's been quite straight on how he wants to play. We haven't seen, the only really changes we've seen have been enforced ones, and I expect more of the same from us, really. You're just hoping that being from home, there'll be a little bit more scope for our attacking midfielders to get forward, a little bit more scope to see what we've been hearing a lot about, which is men in the box, men flooding into the box, and you're just hoping that they're able to start quickly and really kind of show this Leicester side what we're about and how much work we've been doing over the summer on these on our attacking play on these phases of play that, as I say, we've heard so much about going into the season.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing that has stuck out. Whereas I don't think my only fear with us is still, I have to say, at the back. I mean, it's all well and good score. I mean, I've still got the sense of, and I think I've said this before, we haven't got a nil in us.
No, we can still be got at. We can definitely be got at. We showed that at Tottenham, didn't we? So it's it's an interesting one tomorrow that we can see Matip and Lovren play together at home for the first time. I think we're safe on the right-hand side, but obviously the left is still a concern. I like the idea of Milner being there because he's tactically astute. He will carry the ball forward. He hasn't got the motor to get back that Moreno's got, but Moreno hasn't got the sense to get back that would fit with the motor and make the... Between them, they're probably a perfect left-back. If we could actually combine them in some way, they'd be brilliant.
All right, here's one for you then. It might sound a little bit left field, but let's say that it was Karius in goal. Would that change your mind? Do you think it's a case of Milner's a safe option and, obviously the atmosphere around Mignolet and, there's a mistake in him and the confident... I mean, no, I'm surmising, in my opinion, maybe a change at the back might...
We're surmising that they have more confidence in Karius, aren't we?
Basically.
And possibly, if we assume that Lovren's going to play on the left because he set Matip up on the right against Spurs, if we assume that he's going to be there, if you're not worrying about your goalie, then all you've got to worry about is your left back and you can cover your left back. If you're trying to cover your left back and your goalie, then it's obviously going to be more damaging to you. I think it's going to be Mignolet, isn't it? I mean, Karius does appear to be a couple of weeks away still. He's had the wires taken out, but he's back in training, I believe, but he still has the issues that he's probably not ready to go into the team. So you are looking at, we've got Mignolet and we've got Milner there. Milner's probably a better fit at the moment next to Lovren. We're probably safer that way. But again, we've not had a nil in us for a very, very long time. We've had a left-back problem.
I think we've conceded the most so far this season. Yeah.
Well, we are conceding big goals at big moments as well. You're not assured that we can see a game out yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of the goals we've conceded are disappointing, but I think you have to accept that if you're going to play a certain way that you're going to concede chances. And I think we all talk about men in the box and how brilliant it is. Well, there's a risk to that. If putting loads of men in the box was completely risk-free, everyone would do it, you know what I mean? It's like, we all say, we want more men in the box, so you don't want strikers isolated. All these running forwards, it's brilliant. So, look at how many options he's got. Well, yeah, if you want that...
Is the blanket argument
again?
Yeah,
it is the blanket argument, but it's just a bit of common sense, really, that, if it doesn't work out and they break, there's less men, and so there's a reason that, Roy Hodgson used to leave so many men was behind the ball was because he was a cautious manager, and, if there was no risk to it whatsoever, then kind of everyone would be doing it. And so I think we need to accept if we're going to be playing a certain way. And we've conceded a lot of goals, but we scored a fair few as well. 5 in 3 away games isn't bad at all. Burnley was really disappointed in terms of how we couldn't break a team down. But generally speaking, we've looked creative. I think Firmino's on most chances created in the whole division and things like that on 10.
Henderson's stats are fantastic, despite the fact everyone thinks he's terrible for some reason.
He's passed the ball a lot. He has passed the ball a lot.
And done a lot of running.
Yeah, he's passed the ball a lot. So I think if you're going to play in this way and you're going to look to create him, we all get that excited about it. I think you have to be willing to accept that, they're going to have a few chances as well. I'm going to concede a few. That's why I think he's looking for people who aren't going to make mistakes, and that's why you think he favours Milner on Moreno, because you think, well, I know where I am more than him. That's why I think he's not sure about Saka. There's the other stuff as well, but I think there's also the mistake argument. I think ever since he's come in, I don't think he's been particularly sure on Saka from a playing point of view, never mind.
He wants absolute surety, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he wants lads he can depend on.
So lads he can depend on, and then to limit the mistakes at least.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why he's more on the Milner side personally.
So, just going back to talking about Henderson, anyone read his interview with the Echo?
Yeah,
not yet.
Today it was interesting. He's come out and basically laid the gauntlet down to himself, saying, "I'm feeling great, my heel's great. I'm going to show you that I can lead Liverpool, under this manager, and I'm hoping to have a great season." It's
that's good news for us.
Yeah, no, I'm always weary of these interviews because every time, generally, the amount of times the players come out and go, "Yeah, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great," and then we've had a really duff.
Yeah.
A really tough performance for
him.
He
was quite honest as well, though, wasn't he? And he talked about how there was times at last season where he wondered whether he was in the right place and things like that. And am I the right person to be leading Liverpool? And because he was injured a lot and coming in and wasn't playing well, and so he's quite honest. I sort of you believe them more when they say, but now, I'm feeling good about myself, because, we could have just said, oh yeah, I just had a couple of problems last season, but kind of watch me go. But it was on enough to say that he was questioning himself in terms of his position at Liverpool and whether he was the right person, to be contributing, really. He knew he wasn't contributing enough last year, and the fact that it's great that he feels more ready now. I'm still not sure about the position he's playing, but, it's 3 games into a new role, into a new team, so I guess you have to give a little bit more time.
Do you think he's as safe as anyone in that starting 11? Or do you think his positions...
No, not especially. No, I don't think so. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens when Sean comes back, whether he changes the formation a little bit, which I think he might do, or whether he pushes Jordan Henderson forward, and then what does that say about Lallana and Wijnaldum? Lallana looks pretty safe to me. He's always looked very safe in the manager's eyes. So I don't think he is guaranteed, but I think he's got the shirt now at the moment, so he's got a really good opportunity to say, well, you can't drop me, and that's what all the players need to do. I'm quite happy not to have 8 names on the team sheet like we've had in the past. Rafa's teams, you could pick 8 or 9 straight away, like the rotate and things like that, but you knew he was coming. We haven't really got that at the moment, and that's there's pros and cons to that, really, but having them all hungry, having them all willing to run and to work hard, and to know they've, as the lad said before, they've got a little bit to prove, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's a nice, it's not the worst problem in the world to have, but you brought up Rafa a bit, but you look at the strength of the spine that Rafa did have. There's, I wouldn't really see an argument for making that many changes. I'd love to have this argument about rotation when we had a spine as strong as that and options on the bench to.
Yeah, but it's up to this squad now to become the spine. Then, if you're Joel Matip and you're Dejan Lovren, become a great centre-half partnership, and then we're not talking about it. That's kind of up to them, really. No, there's not many of these lads who've played over 50 games for Liverpool. Never mind, you're talking this spine. They're playing. They play 200, 300 games in this. That's on the low scale. That's not saying about Gerrard and Carragher, who was much more. So a lot of them are beginning the Liverpool careers, really, and that's not a great position to be in. I think we'd like a greater balance of experience in there in terms of Liverpool, but it gives them a chance to prove it. If I'm Dejan Lovren, I'm saying to Joel Matip, let's me and you, let's get together and do something brilliant here. So they're not talking about a centre off. So they're not banging on about that Sacco lad. So so they're talking about we've got a great, so they've gone, this looks like a really good partnership for years to come. If I'm Jordan Henderson, I'm thinking, well, there's an opportunity for me here. I think I can play this position, and we can get a good spine going. Spines develop. You can't just buy them and throw them in. They develop, and maybe in 6 months' time we'll be saying, well, there's the spine's a great balance for us.
Matip, Lovren, Chan, Henderson, Sturridge. It looks like a good spine. I think
last season he was signs of that. Some games where we had a full team. We had like the likes of Henderson, Chan, obviously Sacco, Lovren in defence, and then we had our striker issues. Obviously, but Origi looked bright up front. I think we sort of seen like what could potentially be the start of a Liverpool spine. And obviously, you're hoping that this season now we're going to develop that further, and we're going to be looking back in maybe 12, 18 months' time thinking, them lads have come good, and we've got now a solid foundation where Klopp can build a team that he wants.
Well, hopefully, it's going back to it. We talk about foundations and spines, and John made the point, you've got to start somewhere, but we can't get away from how important it is for a good performance and 3 points tomorrow. Yeah. Because we all know how Liverpool fans are. You build themselves up, myself included, and as much as we're keen to build ourselves up and get hyper excited, the ball doesn't have burst quickly.
Mm-hmm. It does, but at this very moment,
it would be deflating. But how deflating would it be?
It would be one of the most deflating things we've had in a long time. Because at this very moment, I feel like it's 1988. Because being an old man, I remember waiting to see John Barnes playing at Anfield for the first time, and waiting to see Beardsley, Aldridge. Well, Houghton hadn't signed at that point, so Beardsley, Aldridge, Barnes at that point. That's what I'm waiting to see tomorrow. I'm waiting to see Mane, Sturridge, Firmino, Coutinho, Wijnaldum. I want to see Wijnaldum in the flesh. I want to see Henderson playing alongside him. I want to see Matip in the flesh. I think we're looking at the beginning of something really strong. If we can come up with a good result tomorrow, it's a hell of a start to the season as proper.
Talking about 80s Liverpool greats, we were good. We spoke to Steve Nicol this morning about his new book, 5 league titles and a packet of crisps.
Yeah.
And we're about to hear from him in part 2.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think we've got to talk about when we've got Stevie Nicol in the studio is being adaptable. What I like about this is, we talk amongst ourselves all the time, amongst all our mates on Twitter, everything else. You say the standard conversation is what's your best Liverpool 11 of all time, and I've seen people pick you as right back, people pick you as left back. So that sort of says it all, really. And why I'm interested in that is there's a lot of talk at the moment, again, of players being played out of position. Daniel Sturridge obviously come out and said that, you know, he's not entirely comfortable being on the right in the attack. He'd rather be through the middle, and that he played a more natural game when he's through the middle, and he had to think about it more when he was on the right. We've also obviously got Milner playing at left back, when most people think he's more of a midfielder, and so on and so forth. So what came across in your book was that you were asked to play pretty much every position on the pitch at some point in your career, and it never seemed to bother you. And also there never seemed to be any great tactical instruction. It was, Steve, you're at left back, mate, go out and do it. And you went out and did it. So I mean, I just wondered how you feel now when you're seeing these comments from players about being asked to do a slightly different job. Are you thinking, well just do it, lads? I did.
Well, the first thing is, why you telling anybody else other than the coach whether you like playing there or not? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having an opinion about it, but why are you blabbing to the press? I mean, that makes no sense to me at all. I don't understand that, first and foremost. But secondly, it really is up to the coach to put somebody in a position where they're going to excel at the end of the day. And if you put a guy at left back who can't play left back, then the team's going to suffer, he's going to suffer, everybody suffers. So in my particular case, I was fortunate that my brain tells me that no matter where I am, the basics of football are pretty much the same. You know, you keep the ball, you keep it simple, you pass to somebody with the same colour of jersey on you, you cover your mate's backside. If you can get forward, you get forward. So to me, wherever I was on the field, the same things applied. You know, if I was at centre-back, it was like, OK, you can't go forward. You're there to defend. So I defended. I mean, I just didn't complicate things. And so somebody like Daniel Sturridge, to me, should go out and play what he's asked to play and do what he can to the best of his ability. And you know what? If he doesn't play well, if the coach is worth his salt, he's not going to play him there. Why would he play him there? So keep your mouth shut, go out and do what you can, do your best, and you know what? You might surprise yourself. You might actually do well there. You might actually learn something. You might actually enjoy it. You know, before you kick a ball, if you're already thinking, I don't want to play there, then you're more than likely you're not going to play well. I had the complete opposite attitude. I was like, magic, I've never played there before. I fancy a go at this. Couldn't wait.
I mean, where did you enjoy the most, Stevie? And, you know, I think most people probably think of you as a full-back maybe, but, you know, you scored lots of great goals for Liverpool. Everyone remembers the hat-trick at Newcastle and that sort of thing. You know, some great finishes there. The header at Arsenal, another one that stands out. I mean, you talked before about enjoying putting a tackle in and enjoying taking a fella out almost. You seem to quite enjoy scoring goals as well. So where did you feel most at home on the pitch?
Do you know, I can't answer that. I mean, it was fantastic playing behind Barnsley. It was fantastic playing behind Ray Houghton. It was great playing centre-back beside Big Al. It was great in the middle of the field, centre midfield, where you're involved all the time in everything. It was great being wide, getting forward all the time, the majority of the time, being able to get in a position to score goals. And you know, at the end of the day, as long as my name was read out and I was on the team sheet, I really couldn't have given the monkeys where I was playing.
Steve Krause, I'm not going to ask if I can ask a question because you'll say no. So I'm going to just ask it. Back in the day, I remember every pundit going used to ask you lads, tell us what's Liverpool's secret. That was the most boring question they used to throw at you boys all the time. Funnily enough, since that day's been and gone, no one actually worries about that question anymore. People look back, oh yeah, they were just good. But it was a big deal back then. You've been sort of modest in saying Liverpool had money, I think, to buy big players. But United always had a lot more. The big Italians always had a lot more. So Liverpool, although they had more money relative to modern Liverpool, relative to their opposition, they still weren't the richest club in the world then. And yet You talk about how special the atmosphere was at Melwood. Liverpool were better and sustained being better from Shankly's, what was it, 25 years? Yeah. Looking back now, I'm going to ask you that boring old question. What do you think the secret was with the benefit of hindsight of time?
It was an attitude. There was an attitude around the ground and around the training ground and around the players that you did two things. You worked hard and you enjoyed yourself. But there was always oh, and by the way, we need to win. It was never said, but there was just an attitude around the place that we all knew that we were expected to win. And when we didn't win, it was a problem. You know, everybody felt it. You know, it wasn't just Kenny who wasn't happy. I mean, it would take... If we got beat or even dropped a point sometimes, or we didn't play well, I mean, you wouldn't hear the murmur on the bus for an hour if we were away from home. Because everybody's thinking about the game. Everybody's thinking about, could I have done more? Did I do enough for me? Did I do enough for the guy standing next to me? So there was an attitude of, we're going to win. We knew we were going to win. Even when we didn't win, we always thought we were going to win. Because sometimes it just doesn't work out. But there was an attitude of, we will win. And there was an attitude of, this is how we're going to win. And as I said, the biggest reason of all to win anything consistently is when you've got 11 people on the field whose only concern is the other 10 next to him and not himself. That is the biggest thing. And if you've got that, you maybe don't have the greatest players, but if you've got that, you can win games. Now, if you've got Johnny Barnes and Kenny and Rushy, you put that on top of an attitude like that, well, you end up winning things, and that's what we did.
Can I ask if there's any particular team you played against who you were really impressed by? I mean, you mentioned that you didn't really go in thinking too much about the opposition, but there must have been times, especially in Europe, on the pitch, you thought, bloody hell, these are good.
No.
They were
Never thought about anybody else. I never thought about anybody else.
Smash, right?
No, it was about us. It was always about what we would do. And if we did what we were good at, then whoever it was, they would have to adjust to us. I know people always say, who's your toughest opponent and who's the best player you've ever played against? And depends what kind of mood I'm in. If I want to humour them, I'll just throw a name out. But to be honest with you, I was not interested in anybody else. I couldn't care less who I was playing against. It was about us. It was always about us.
What do you think about the modern day? Just to finish up, Steve, what do you think about the modern day Liverpool? And what do you think this Liverpool side can do? What's a realistic expectation this season?
Well, I think if he doesn't add anybody between now and the end of the season, being realistic, I think the best they can do is fourth. That's the best they can do, I think. And I don't think I'm going to surprise anybody by saying that. No question, Liverpool can score goals. We've got talent going forward, but you can't afford to ship them in at the back. And if you're shipping goals in, you ain't getting top four. So, for me, the real problem that Jurgen has to try and solve is the defence. You know, he needs to get some defenders in. Going forward, it was exciting to watch as anybody else in the Premier League. But defensively, you don't want to watch.
You mentioned about buying defenders, but it's as well what you were talking about before, which is enjoying defending as a team, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how they kind of defend as a unit, really. And that's something Jurgen spoke about, to be fair, and that's something I'd like to see more. And exactly what you said before about enjoying defending as well.
Yeah.
As a team, you can enjoy going forward and scoring forward in half an hour against Arsenal's great fun, but actually enjoying that aspect of it, that feels to me like something
well,
the
that
whole
was,
team
that,
needs
that was
to
what
do.
happened at Burnley. You know, there's one thing to go forward, but you know, there's a reason Alan Hansen's jersey was never wet, was because he always got in a good position to start with. I mean, Big Al's jersey probably from what, 1st of August through the end of May the following year probably never really needed washed once. Because he didn't have to sweat, because he got himself in a good spot. So when we were going forward, you know, you were saying earlier about, well, you didn't really have to defend when you're at Anfield. Well, the reason for that is because when everybody else is going forward, the back four's organised, that if the ball does break loose, if they do get it, then they can't get out. So when you hear Paisley talking about the first yards in your head, that's exactly what it is. Because if I'm in a good spot while we're going forward, I don't have to be involved in the play, but if I'm in a good spot that we lose it and the opposition can't get out, then if you do that, then what happened at Burnley isn't happening. You know, big holes behind the guys going forward, the back four's too deep, there's a big hole in the middle, and they start running at you. And you end up losing 2 goals from 2 attacks. You defend behind the ball, they can't get out. They can't run 40, 50, 60 yards to score.
Are you going to Anfield tomorrow, Stevie?
Am I? Yep.
Can you have a quick word with Albie Moreno while you're there?
Hey,
Tips for
he might be sat next to me in the stand, and maybe I can.
Welcome back, top of the tower. This is the Anfield Wrap on Radio City Talk. I'm still joined by Jacob Routledge, John Gibbons, and Ian Salmon. Steve Nicol, he was great, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was good. He was very honest, forthright guy, intelligent on the game, of course. You know, people can hear the rest of the interview on our website, which is the Anfield Wrap, if you want to hear more of that. But yeah, I thought he was really good on a couple of things, and obviously Gareth was good interviewing because he tried to relate it to stuff going on today and stuff going on with the squad, and how some things, sometimes we can obsess over things that are new in football and think there's new things, but there was a lot of it going on back in Steve's day, and one of the things we talked about to him was different positions and the fact that it's quite a buzzword at the moment, and you know, people being asked to play in different positions and what that says about the managers. Something managers are criticised a lot about. It's something that sometimes players are criticised for, and you know, he had an attitude personally to him, which is that he enjoyed it, he relished it. He was like, oh, I'll give anything a go. Oh, good, look, I wasn't meant to play there. You know, I haven't played there before. That'll be a laugh to see what it's like. And you know, I think he's maybe a bit unique in his attitude, but also kind of showed maybe a kind of different attitude to what we're seeing now, which is, well, look, I understand football, I understand my role, and if I'm asked to do this, I'll go out and do it, and if it doesn't work out, then you know, it doesn't work out.
And it was almost on the manager if it didn't work out.
Yeah, that was kind of his arguments. Yeah. You know, if it doesn't go well, then the manager won't play you there again. But if you're going in with the attitude of this isn't going to work, then it probably won't work for you. And I thought that was quite interesting. I mean, I don't know. I think you can sometimes be a bit, you know, modern player versus old player and say, oh, they had a better attitude. I mean, I'm not sure how Ian Rush would have felt playing right wing, for example.
Yeah.
You know, would he have had the same attitude as Steve Nicol? You know, possibly not really. He might have been a bit confused about why he was being asked to do that. But I think it was interesting to hear Steve, how he approached it as an individual, and how, you know, he wants to be in the team, and the team ethic was everything in his head, really. And if I'm working for my teammates, and if it's my job to pass the red shirt, and if it's my job to try and get forward, and it's my job for Liverpool to win, doesn't really matter kind of where on the football pitch I'm playing.
I mean, but what I thought was fascinating was the insularity, if it's the right word. I mean, we all talk about, it came up, we worried about what the papers were going to say about this, that. And he goes, no, the only people's opinion that mattered to me, essentially, were me 10 teammates who was on the pitch with. And he made reference, one change he did say he's noticed these days with football is, he said, on the coach to games, you know what I mean? You see them now when everyone's standing with these big headphones on, and they don't seem to have that camaraderie. I mean, they may do, you don't know, it's just an image that projects. Where he was saying, like, most of the time, you know, you'd be sitting on the coach and you'd be thinking of how to wind someone up or have a joke, or you'd be playing cards, or, you know, and it was very much, not to use a cliche, one for all and kind of mentality. And he was chatting about on the coach. He said, you know, apart from when they lost, he said, you know, it was you could hear the pin drop on the coach, because everyone, you wouldn't be thinking, instead of like pointing the finger, everyone would be introspecting, saying, you know, what could I have done? Could I have done this better? Could I have done that better? Where it just, I mean, again, it's outside looking in, but it seems something might have been lost.
It might have been lost in modern football in general. Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of attitude, I think that attitude is fantastic. It's very much kind of what we were saying in the first part about Jordan Henderson, where he's questioning himself. I like to see players question themselves in terms of, what could I have done more to actually make this be a win? And we kind of always knew that Liverpool team didn't worry about who it was playing, because it only concerned itself with itself. You go out and you take the approach that you're going to take the game to the opposition, and there wasn't all that catering for what this team's going to do and what that team's going to do and what their left winger might do to our right back, so we should change. It was kind of, this is a Liverpool team, this is how a Liverpool team plays, and this is what we're going to do. And
teams cater for us.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the attitude that Klopp's bringing back to the club. Teams are going to cater for us because this is what we're going to do. We have a method. He's said it in interviews that we know what we're doing. We've got a plan. You're going to love the plan. Just stick with us and you'll see the plan come through. Yeah. And the likes of Steve Nicol and the 80s team, that was what they grew up on. And it's kind of seeing that return. A lot of what Nicol said is what John Barnes has said, where you've got people who subsumed themselves for the team. So I don't think history has ever afforded Steve Nicol the credit he deserves for the quality of player he was, because he was a fantastic footballer, but he's seen as a utility man. He was a utility man, but he was the world's best utility man because he would fit in everywhere and you would always get the same game from him and you get the same dedication and the same performance. But history hasn't remembered him for that. They just remembered he was in the side and he was a cracking player, but he was willing to put the team before himself at all times. And
which is obviously something that was lacking in the modern day, obviously.
Across modern day football in general. But and I think there's the media spinning as well, because James Milner comes out and says, well, no, I've never really been a left back and I'm not sure about playing there and I like playing in centre midfield,
that's where the manager
but I'll do it. And that gets reported. Sturridge says, well, I'd prefer to play in the centre, but if you want to put me on the right wing, I'll play there. And all of a sudden, Daniel Sturridge is questioning his position in the team, according to the media. So I think it's the way people are portrayed as well.
I mean, what came out of it for me was, aside from all that, and he actually mentioned it was interesting in the interview that you've just heard, not being bothered about the opposition. But the thing that stood out for me was the comments about, and by the way, you've got to win. It was that culture of winning that they had. And, this one mentality that they all kind of had, and with the crowd as well. And you spot on when you mention Klopp, because that's something that the current manager is very much trying to buy it. There's big buy-in from him on that.
Yeah, it's something that's really hard to create and really easy to lose. Culture, you
can't force it either, can you?
You can't. You can put things in place and you can try and make things happen, but it's a difficult thing. And it was something that a lot of players have talked about when you just went into Liverpool. There was a bit of an unspoken thing that we win here, and there was the attitude, and Steve talked a lot about it, the attitude around the club, and it can drift away quite easily, and I think that's kind of what's happened in Liverpool, really. But you can't then go back. You can't say, well, what was so special about the 80s, let's recreate it, because it's just impossible.
You can't apply it. It has to grow organically. It has to be something that you learn through repeated behaviours. And if that repeated behaviour needs to be winning games, at that point the confidence
grows. You still
need
11 really good footballers as well.
Yeah, so useful.
Of course,
it helps.
Yeah, you need to have better players than everyone else and things like that. But it's that attitude of, okay, we win here, and it's putting everything in place for success, so there's no excuse. And I think I've been, we're doing this event with Jamie Carragher tonight, which is the launch, Simon Hughes' book launch. You can still probably come if you leg it. It's just after 7 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah. Just run up, abandon your radio, come to Manford Hall and listen to that, or just buy Si's book. It's really good. But what I found interesting in the book was the bits about Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich come up quite a lot because Didi Hamann obviously used to play there and Xabi Alonso's there now, and what Xabi in particular talks about is that everything's set up so there's no excuses for failure. And I think that's a really interesting way to run a football club, to say, well, everything's here for you, everything's set out for you. You've just got all you've got to do is go and win football games. And I think there's too often at a football club there's things that could be blamed, and there's things that we could point to and say, oh, we can't possibly win because of this and that, and it's getting away from that kind of mentality, really, and saying, well, everything's here for you to win. We're a winning club. That's what we do here. That's what we've done throughout our history, and everything's set up for you. You're a brilliant player. That's why you're here. Just go out there and do what everyone else has done.
And that comes across very strongly in the Houllier chapter as well, because Houlier's job was to come in and prepare to win. And that seems to be what Klopp is bringing. He's bringing that same attitude of what we do is we win from now on.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think with Klopp at Dortmund, obviously he fostered that sort of atmosphere between the fans and the players on the pitch. The fans knew what to expect from the players. They knew that to give 100%. And I think with the mentality of the players, they didn't have to worry about things off the pitch. They didn't have to worry about the fans maybe turning on them, because they knew if we put in a good performance, we'll get the most out of it.
He's ruled nothing out, the manager, has he? Which I think is encouraging. Anything's possible, and I like that. I think sometimes when managers try and play it down, you kind of sometimes give the players a little bit of an out.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's not expectations, is it? And why not? And he's not the only one. Funny enough, Ranieri was talking about with Leicester coming up on the horizon, went to some lengths to actually say he thinks that this Liverpool side, are going to be in with a shout this year.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and you look at this and think, well, everything should be in place for us to perform in the way we want to perform now.
Yeah.
It does feel like we've got more options than we've had for a very long time in terms of the squad. Possibly not obviously the big names that we had a couple of years ago, but we look strong. We look like we've got options where you can change the team positively and not. Obviously, the substitutions we've done so far this season haven't shown that so far, but we've got players you can come in and go, well, okay, that's like for like, and we don't damage the team by bringing this lad
But
on.
again, I think Klopp's a big aspect of that. I think having a manager like Klopp, he's steady. There's no overhang on the players. Well, if I'm playing this way, the manager might be gone, and then I might be asked to play a different way. I think the players can concentrate on what Klopp's asking because he's just signed a new long-term deal, so they know that he's going to be there for years to come. So they can fully invest themselves in Klopp's philosophy, and they can fully develop under Klopp with the confidence that they're going to be playing for him for years to come. And I think that will eventually show on the pitch.
How soon though? How soon is
Well,
now?
that's the
How
question.
soon-
That's the
how
question.
soon is now?
That's the question.
You know when now
Hopefully
is?
Saturday.
You know when now is tomorrow because we're going to smash Leicester, aren't we, John?
Yeah, I think we are. I think I'm very positive about it. I think we'll start fast. I think the crowd will respond. I think the players will respond well, and I think they'll score early and then frequently. I'm very positive about it, and I just feel like this team just needs a bit of a bump, and at the moment a bit of a boost. A bit of a realisation of how good they are really, and I think hopefully that this could be it. Beating the champions, first home game of the season. It does set a bit of a marker to everyone and also to themselves really. And I think if they can do that, then we could be in for a good year.
Ian, quickly before score predictions.
Quickly before score predictions.
We're going to smash them.
We're going to smash them. Yeah.
What's the score?
I'm split on two scores at the moment. It's either 3-1 or 5-0.
3-1 or 5-0.
3-1 or 5-0.
3-1. Pick one.
3-1.
3-1. John.
I'll pick 5-0 if that's the two on offer.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going for
You can have
3-1
that
as
one.
well.
3-1 as well.
I think Sturridge might get a brace, and I'd like to see Wijnaldum or Lallana back in as well.
I'm going with a hearty 4-2 victory for the mighty Reds under the new Mega Thunderdome to smash Leicester to bits. That's been the Anfield Wrap on City Talk, Radio City Talk. I've been with Jacob, Ian, Salmon and John Gibbons. Thanks, and we'll be back next week.